Okay, it's the biggest news in F1 since a couple of days. It's been announced that serial winning car designer Adrian Newey will be leaving Red Bull. We don't know where exactly, whether it's Mercedes or Ferrari, but a couple of websites that I went to yesterday say Ferrari. We're not quite sure. They had to continue our
No, they are
discussion that
leaning
we
towards
started
what I said.
yesterday.
Ferrari. I still believe it's
Mustafa,
Mercedes.
please go ahead.
Yeah.
I
So
told you
here's
guys. I told you guys.
yeah, but
I did my investigation.
yeah, but you're doing your invest. I'll be fair with you. You're doing your investigation, but it could be misinformation because we know how the thing is. Because to me, it doesn't make logical sense for him to go to Ferrari if he can't go until 2027 and Lewis Hamilton is old. To me, there's a more cohesive story, which is that Verstappen is leaving. Not no, the Verstappen isn't leaving, but it's rumored. Toto Wolff has said he said a couple of weeks ago that unless something very fantastic happens at he said if something very fantastic happens at Red Bull, there's a chance they could get what's his name? Verstappen. And his father met with Toto Wolff weeks ago. And now something fantastic has happened in Formula One. So my thing is that you're right. A lot of people are saying Ferrari, but we could also realize that the press is trying to make money. For all we know, he may not even join any team, and Formula One is just trying to make money because they keep on having these releases. Like they made a release about Susie Wolf, and that
Yeah.
yeah. So, but what are your thoughts, Biodun? I agree with you what you're saying, but there are some rumors also that it could also be Mercedes. I've seen a lot of things that say
And there are some
Mercedes.
rumors that it will be Aston Martin too. But I think
Yeah,
before I decided to before this news came out that he's leaving Red Bull, I think Ferrari has been trying to push Andrea Newey for the past couple of seasons, offering him some lucrative offers, but he
yeah,
rejected Ferrari. So definitely that's why during an interview in Sky last year, Newey said he was very tempted to join Ferrari team also.
yeah.
So that's why, as this opportunity came up, most people are thinking logically, since this is a team that have been after him, he will likely move to Ferrari, knowing that yes, Ferrari is one of the teams that is closest to Red Bull. Mercedes are far off to Red Bull, so coming to Ferrari means the work he will do will not be too much in
Yeah.
terms of design and trying to just
But you have to
correct
remember,
the little
but you have
gaps
to
that they
remember
have.
that the engines are changing in 2026.
2026.
And
Yes, yes,
that's gonna move away from downforce things. And that's gonna give an advantage to Mercedes. That's when Hamilton was dominating in Mercedes when it was just engine power. But I see what you're saying. It makes more sense for Newey to go to Ferrari because they're more of a what's the technical term they call it? Ground something. But the
yes.
idea,
Ground
yeah,
force team,
Ground
they are
yeah,
ground
effect.
force in their
Ground
car.
effect.
Yeah,
ground effect. But
yeah.
yeah, so that makes sense. But then that means it's not for Lewis Hamilton though, because it's not enough time. That
Yeah,
means
it will be
that
for Leclerc. It will be for
Leclerc,
Leclerc.
yeah, and Lewis Hamilton will just be sort of like to hand over to Leclerc. That makes it, and it's funny because some people say Lewis Hamilton has a crystal ball because he was the first person. He's been hinting at all these kinds of things, but he's been making. So that makes sense. So I think the story that this guy may go to Ferrari makes some sense, and it makes more sense than Mercedes just because his whole philosophy is not about hybrid and engine power. It's about downforce. And I think he would like the challenge to, even when they go to the hybrid mix, to still do what he can. Because Adrian Newey is a designer, and everything with designers, that's what they care about. It's not about the engine. It's about how to integrate the engine and with aerodynamics. And that seems to move within Ferrari's way. So yeah, I agree. I think that's a good theory. What do you think, Afolabi? Yeah.
I quite agree with you because they said his dissertation was on ground effect and downforce, and that's where
Yeah.
his expertise is. So it's not really engine, but with the raft of changes coming in 2026, a lot of things will be changing. The engine power, they want more power, less fuel. It's going to be, they are going to need someone with the experience of Adrian Newey. I don't know how Red Bull
Yeah.
will cope without him. And if you look at how long he's been there, if he leaves, there are a couple of engineers he has worked with over the years. There's a big
Yeah.
chance that those guys might be following him to wherever he's going.
Yeah. And I get the sense, and I think you guys can agree with me, both of you. This guy, I want to use polite language. I'm not going to call him a narcissist, but Horner is the type of person that will get rid of everybody to prove that he can still win. He wants to prove he can win without Newey. So, and he can take the team because I think Horner wants to control that team, and he's a very stubborn person. Even after the scandal with the lady, he he's doubled down and he suspended her. So he's a very I'm not saying it in a bad way, but I won't use the word ego, but he's a self-possessed person, and I believe that Red Bull has a philosophy, and they think they can continue moving on without Newey, because I believe that's how Horner is, and that's how everybody should be. Like in basketball, what's his name? Went to 4 different teams. LeBron James.
LeBron James.
But yeah, so they'll never tell you that, oh, it's because of my coach that I won or my designer or anything. They want to prove themselves. So I believe that Horner has enough um, pride and ambition that he wants to prove that he can continue. And with the money that Red Bull has, they have learned from Newey, and they have people who can continue. What do you think, Adrian?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, I think many people should not take Andres Newey leaving for granted, because I think all this was just triggered by Christian Horner and the saga that surrounded him, and that was just, and the way they handled the situation also did not also help matters, and it's quite disappointing that now the team is likely going to suffer, and the dominance of this team that we expected to see that is going to happen for a long time now would crumble, because this is what actually break a perfect pyramid. You know, once you remove one piece, it's no more a pyramid.
Yeah, because they have everybody. They have the best driver, the best designer,
and now
the best team
once
principal.
Adrian Newey leaves, you are tempting Max Verstappen to leave, because Max Verstappen he also wants to win championship. He also wants to get the winning car. He also wants to work with the best team. And this is quite not good for Red Bull. Definitely, I think the Red Bull team is just, it has collapsed generally. So Red Bull fans, get ready. And another team is coming to dominate the sport.
I can see him going to Mercedes. I still see that happening. But the big question is, if he goes to Mercedes, who's going to be the team principal? Maybe Braun will come back. Where's Braun?
No, the team principal Mercedes, Toto can still handle him now.
Oh, no, not the principal, the designer.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I made a mistake.
If he goes to where?
It'll still be
okay.
They need to pick up. Yeah.
Mercedes designer is okay. If Adrian Newey goes there, then they will sack whoever is there before now.
Yeah, but if Newey goes to Ferrari, what's going to happen if Newey goes to Ferrari and Verstappen goes to Mercedes? Who's going to be the designer? Because right now, this Mercedes car has understeer and other problems which are unacceptable.
Newey is the designer. So for Ferrari, what Newey will be looking, if Newey goes to Ferrari, what he will be designing is the 2026.
Oh yeah, sorry. I think
he goes to Mercedes.
No, I think so. Bjorn, I think we had a miscommunication. But who will be the designer for Mercedes if this guy wants to go to Mercedes? If Verstappen goes there. So my question is, let's say Newey goes to Ferrari and Verstappen goes to Mercedes. Mercedes has a problem with the designer. Who can they get? That's why I'm saying Braun.
Yeah. I feel
Braun is their current designer now, so they will just have to stick with him.
So what's the problem? Where are the problems with the guys? Because Braun is
chassis, with all these chassis issues, I mean, they would.
Yeah, what's going on with that? Yeah.
I feel Newey would actually add value, because most of Mercedes problems are not engine related. Most of them are chassis and
their design. And there are things that can be solved through design and mechanical development.
So I feel.
But here's the question. So maybe Bjorn, what happened to Mercedes? Was it because they didn't handle the transition from, or they didn't have money? They didn't handle the transition from engine when they were relying on power, so they're behind. Maybe that's, and they had and also they had to focus on beating that year that Verstappen beat Hamilton, which was unfair. Yeah. Mercedes were not worried about the next year. They were trying to win that last one. So maybe that's what made them fall behind. So they missed the transition. Yeah.
Yes, and I think it was the season before that season that Mercedes got it wrong, because they felt they were way ahead of any other team in terms of testing. And there was a period that they called for testing with the vehicles, and Mercedes did not come for testing. And Mercedes thought they were way ahead of the other teams, looking at the simulators, and the simulators were showing them data that they were faster on the track and all that. But when I think when they now had a pre-test race before the main race, they now saw that they were way off, and since that period they've been doing catch up to Red Bull.
And they're doing catch up. And the funny thing is that the last year that when Hamilton should have won, Verstappen beat him, but the Red Bull car was still thinking about the future. They were still worrying, and they were still able to beat him, which just goes to show you the genius of Newey. He can focus on a championship while still focusing on the future. And they made a lot of upgrades. That year, Red Bull was making upgrades a lot. And also they got a lot of fines for changing engines and upgrades, but they still did it. They still did it. Yeah. So
you're right.
But this is very interesting. So yeah, so I think we're torn between Ferrari or Mercedes for Newey, or retirement to hang out with it, to go and, because they said Newey likes to drive, right? Maybe he'll join French motocross or something. Yeah, I keep forgetting all these guys. Like they were talking earlier, like Ancelotti is a football player. When you see these guys, you don't believe that they were athletes. Newey was also a racer. He wasn't a great racer, but he was like a amateur racer. So these guys, it's not that they're just talking about engineering. They love Formula One, you know. So
yeah, you're right. Most people in this sport have.
But did he ever?
Either way, partake in an amateur level.
It was just go-karts or something.
Yeah, no, he does it for fun, but I think he loves F1. He likes driving and racing, but he never did it professionally. I don't think he did it
professionally. His passion, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, so this was a short session, so we were just trying to speculate on what's going to happen. So this is Formula One fanatics coming out of global sports. So we're going to end with you guys. Any closing thoughts? I'll start with you, Biodun.
We are excited to see Newey. I am excited to see
Me too.
Coming out to say he's leaving Red Bull. It's going to be an interesting challenge for Red Bull. I want to see how they will perform without him. I would like to see him also move to another younger team and develop them, maybe someone like Aston Martin. If he moves to Ferrari, fine, but we know the Scuderia Ferraris have always dominated the sport over the last couple of years. But I would love him to move to any other team other than Ferrari. But if he goes to Ferrari or Mercedes, I don't mind. If he goes to Mercedes, it's a blessing for me because I'm a Mercedes fan, but I'm a Hamilton fan also. So if he goes to that, so I'm happy. I'm happy. But I would love to see him go to Aston Martin. I want him to develop a new team to be world champion, because we've had the same
Aston Martin has
world champions the last couple
Aston Martin has they have a young driver, Lando Norris, and they also have built up, so they've done a lot of the groundwork, so he doesn't have to build them from scratch.
Yes,
exactly. Actually, Aston Martin may have some of the best engineering. No, not Aston Martin. I'm thinking about McLaren. McLaren used to have the best. McLaren has the best engineering. So yeah, so I was confusing Aston Martin with McLaren. I'd like to see him go to McLaren with Lando Norris, because that car is very good, great engineering, great balance and everything. But also we have to say that Alonso has done great work with Aston Martin. He's done very good work, and he's not only driving well for them and aggressively, they're learning a lot, and their car has been developing very well. But I think it's a good thing, because I think he knew when he went there in 2022 that they had a good car, and he's doing well. And it's kind of sad because these guys are getting older, Alonso and Hamilton, so these might be their last runs. But I'll have to say, Alonso drove very aggressively last week. You saw how he warmed up his car for the race. Yeah, and he took all kinds of risks.
Quite impressive. Yeah,
and he came seventh. For him to come seventh, it means that there were only three other cars that were ahead of him. Not Mercedes. There was Ferrari, Red Bull, and McLaren. So that means he's pushing that car very, very hard. And even after changing he went on a 3-stop, and he still came seventh. That's really good, you know. But I think he was trying to push the car as hard. What are your thoughts, Afolabi and Mbiru?
Yeah, I think I agree with what you were saying when you were talking about Horner. There's a French engineer that works with Red Bull that was promoted to almost at the level of Adrian Newey recently. Pierre Wash. It appears they've been anticipating Newey's exit, so I think he would take over the realm of affairs there. And Horner also looks like someone that doesn't want to challenge, like you said.
He doesn't want challenge, and I think Horner is happy with this. And also, we can't also rule out the fact that maybe Newey wanted to leave anyway, and he's using this scandal as an excuse.
His leaving may not be noticeable immediately, maybe on the long run. They'll still be able to get by.
But here's the thing. You also have to remember he's 65. So he's not going to do this for more than 5 or 6 years anyway.
And he's been there for a very long time.
Yeah, so this is what we can say. This guy, Newey, is not going to be around forever. So maybe it's okay for Red Bull. And Red Bull has that kid, the white kid who's 13 years old. What's his name, Biodun?
And he may be leaving to retire.
Is he? I've forgotten the kid's name. He's gone.
I'll think about it. But they have a 13-year-old kid. So maybe Newey is like, okay, we will still win next year, and we're gonna bring up that young boy, and we'll still be around. Not Newey,
Yeah.
Horner, and Horner is still young. He's only 50, so he can be the Lord of the ring, Lord of the Bull, yeah, Red Bull, Lord of the Red Bull for the next 20 years. Whereas 20 years from now, who knows where Adrian Newey will be? Hopefully, he'll still be alive, but he'll be on a wheelchair watching
He'll be
Formula
85.
One. He'll be 85. No, I believe he'll be still alive and he'll be healthy. You know why? Because he's rich. Rich folks live long, healthy lives. Hopefully, we can all make
It
it.
looks like someone that's going to consulting, really. He looks very cerebral. He
No, he's
looks
very
like a
cerebral. Yeah,
professor. He looks
yeah.
like a professor.
But
He
I'm
could go
trying to
into
remember the name of that
consulting.
kid. Yeah. So any last thoughts? I'm still looking for the name of the kid for Red Bull. Yeah.
I don't know, there's a sneaky feeling it's going to be Ferrari, but like I said, he would add more value to Mercedes, considering all the structural and chassis issues they've been having. And
Yeah.
like Biodun said, he could go to a team that really needs building from the ground up. And that's what he did for Red Bull some 18 years ago. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah, so I can't remember the name of the kid, but there's a new kid that Red Bull has, and the way they're talking about him is the same way they talked about Verstappen when Verstappen was like 17 years old. And we also have to remember, we were talking about how when Verstappen first came, he was like crashing into people. We have to remember he was only 17 when he came into Formula One.
Yeah,
Can you imagine riding a Formula One car when you're 17? That's crazy,
his
man.
debut season, he was even 16.
16, yeah. So that's crazy. So he's matured now. And I think I think between him, Alonso are the best driver now. The only reason I'm not saying Hamilton is because Hamilton is not focused now. Skill-wise, Hamilton is just as good as they are. But right now, I would say that him and Alonso and Norris. So who would be your top 4 drivers right now in order? Beautiful. That's how we end. Yeah.
Currently, Max number 1.
Yeah.
Alonso number 2. Hamilton number 3. Stroll, this guy in McLaren. Lando Norris 4.
4. Okay, yeah, and I agree with you. I think that's the order, and I think Lando Norris is not in the league of those 3, but he's a very good driver, and I agree. So we'll go to you, Falabi, who's now a Formula One expert but new to Formula One. So give us your top 4.
Of course, Max number 1.
Yeah.
Lando Norris, Hamilton has to be there without a doubt, and this guy's partner, Max's partner, and
Russell. You left out Alonso.
Yes, yes, and then the other Ferrari guy, I can't remember his name.
Yeah. So if you okay, give me your top 3, Falabi. Your top 3. You left out Alonso. Who should be in the top 3? Yeah.
Alonso, Hamilton, and Max.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, and then number 4 could probably be Lando Norris. I think a lot of us would agree with that. Okay, guys, thank you very much. You guys have worked hard. It's the end of the month. We're tired. You're not going to see us again until Miami. We'll be back probably
this weekend,
for
I guess.
next weekend. So we'll be here Friday, Saturday, Sundays. So you guys enjoy. But I'll see how far I'll be during the week because we still have football. Thank you very much, everybody.